We are live. Good morning, everybody. Check us out. Give us a second. Thank you, everybody, for coming. And thank you for joining us this morning. We are live at the 209, and we are live in the
801.
So what that means is we're on both channels. So make sure you jump over to David's channel or jump back to my channel, and make sure you give us a like, a subscribe if you haven't. We appreciate you. But no matter where you're at, as long as you're on one of those channels, you can hear us both out. And I'd like to say good morning, and hope you got a cup of coffee, something nice to drink, something nice to warm up with. And yeah, we're going to get into it.
Playoffs. We're talking about the playoffs.
I love it. One of the funny moments in NFL history. And if you notice my thumbnail or David's thumbnail, it's got it. It's got the playoffs on it. It's got the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Jim Mora. And David, if I'm correct, I could be wrong. If anybody in the chat knows, but I'm pretty sure it was us. I believe we beat the Colts that press conference, that game. And then they started talking to him, and then he erupted and started yelling about the playoffs. I could be wrong, but I believe it was the 49ers. And he was pretty upset because I believe the Niners beat him pretty handily. So let's start out and let's tell everybody hey in the chat. We got Big City Man coming in. What do you think about that, David? I think you were right. D'Amico got them boys playing.
He does. He's a good coach.
Really good coach.
You know, it's like a couple years ago, everyone's like, you know, we got exited from the playoffs, yeah. And everyone's like, well, who's going to replace Kyle? I was like, D'Amico Ryans.
I mean, it wasn't a bad idea. John LaJoie's here. He said, let's go, Bryant and David. Hit like and subscribe. We appreciate you. Carcast is pulling up. Carcast is a great guy, too. He's got a great channel. John and Carcast have channels, so please check them out when you get a chance. Tony coming in. Tony for the win. She has a channel as well. She's a great person. My wife. I love her so much. But she also does things with some females on YouTube. And they didn't do anything last night. We had some things going on around the house, but stay tuned. Turn on for her show. Bebop, great guy. Bebop coming in. Bebop's everywhere, and really appreciate talking to Bebop the other day. That was really fun. Okay, we got my buddy Sir Felix the Cat. G-Day mates, let's go. So we will be definitely tuning in and looking forward to seeing the outcome of the Packers, because if the Packers game wins, yes, that's my tie. If the Packers win, then we are playing the Packers. If the Packers lose, well, then we have to find out who we're playing later on. See, Bebop's great. He knows the names. He knows the names and the faces. We got Gammon in here. Yo, Gammon, what's up? And we have Twin. Good morning, Twin. We hope you're doing good. And definitely, I definitely appreciate what you and Terradome was doing the other night. You guys had a great show going on. A lot of good vibes. Definitely appreciate what you and Terradome was doing. So, Mr. David, I'm going to hand Murphy to Miss Tony. So I'm going to go off camera for a second. But if you'd like to give everybody a rundown on the first game yesterday, I believe it was the Browns. And I don't think
the Texans.
Yeah, I don't think they showed up. And real quick, I'll be back in a second. But if you'd like to start out by talking about that, that'd be great. I'll be back in a second.
Well, folks, D'Amico Ryans is a good head coach. Honestly, out of everyone I've seen walk away, he was the one I did not want to actually go away. I wanted to keep him in because it's kind of like, you know, look at head coaches in the league. Bill Belichick and Mike Tomlin, they stuck around for an incredibly long time. So Pete Carroll. But they did this one thing. that Kyle hasn't done yet. And that's win a Super Bowl. So I wanted to keep D'Amico Ryans around in case, Jed York got impatient, which it seems like he's nothing but patient at this point, signing him to that contract extension. And, D'Amico's a great head coach. They destroyed the Browns yesterday. The number one defense. They destroyed them. It's a young football team, the Texans. The quarterback, C.J. Stroud, don't try telling him he ain't supposed to be there. He don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that was a pretty good game. I thought Joe Flacco was going to play a little bit better, but at the beginning of the game, it was kind of the first series was kind of the writing on the walls. You can tell sometimes when the other team has just a little bit more energy or a little bit more juice. They seem to be a little bit more excited to come out and play. Well, the Browns did Brown things, and we can leave it like that.
Yes.
Right? We got Jason in the house. Check out Jason's channel, Niner Faithful Radio. Great guy, and he's got a great team over there as well. D'Amico and Solik, great pairing, great drafting. 100% Big City. And we got Jason coming in with the Talofa Faithful. Yes. Okay, so then we had another playoff game yesterday, David, and it was I'm thinking right now, and it's on the top of my tip of. Let me go to my notes. It was not the Texans,
Kansas City, the Dolphins.
Thank you. And the reason I think I kind of blanked out on that one is
no, your brain just froze.
Yeah, thank you. It was so cold. It was so cold. And not only was it cold, it was I don't know. I mean, like I watched most of that game, and I didn't really pay attention to too much of it. The Chiefs, they came out, they played ball. The Dolphins had some moments, but they had turnovers, and it seemed like the weather really affected the Dolphins. What would you say?
It looked to me like it was minus 24 to start the game, and it was, folks, minus 24. And the field crew was out there with like scrapers and brooms trying to break up the ice off the field so the players could have grip. I was wondering, because just the other day, it was probably 18 degrees plus Fahrenheit here. And I was out loading a truck. I mean, I was unloading and loading a truck that had a lot, and I was out there for a while. I had my work gloves on. I didn't have my winter gloves on, the insulated one, folks. And I lost the feeling in my fingers, like pretty quick. So that being said, those guys that are on the field that ain't bundled up or standing by a heater, they have to have the same thing going on. Like, how can you actually feel the football to throw it and to catch it? So,
well, shout out to geez. At the beginning of the game, I thought it was funny because they were showing Tyreek Hill on the sidelines, and they kept talking about him not having sleeves on. Well, sometimes when it's cold, it's cold. If you want to be more manly and say it's not cold, okay. But there's times where you can clearly see that someone is cold. And the announcers kept talking, where's my jacket? Where's my jacket? And, maybe that got to the Dolphins, I think. The Dolphins, you guys know, Florida's the Sunshine State, right? We're the Golden State out here in California. And, when it's that cold, it's pretty cold. It also happened to the Chargers when they played the Bengals, I believe, back in the 80s. It just was too cold for them. You put them into a dome situation where the environment is perfect, maybe it's a different game. But when you put the elements in there, it slows people down. It makes you just, hit a little bit harder. It makes those hits feel a little bit harder, right? I think I was joking with you, or I was joking with another friend. And once you get hit and your body hits the ice or hits the ground, that's a different type of cold. You are now either awake or you are really, really like now taken back, because again, some people They say they want to play. They know they have to play, but once they get hit into that ground and they feel the ice, that takes them out of the game. Mentally takes them out. Well, we have Ted Talks Ball in the house. Thank you, Ted, for coming. Everybody, if you haven't subscribed to Ted, he has a great channel. He does a lot of things with a lot of different content creators, so please check him out. Okay, and then let's see what we got. We got Caitlin this morning. Thank you, Caitlin, for coming. And we also have SG Sports Talk channel. This is the Chardal, the one and only, the legend, the myth, the man, the GOAT. So please check out Chardal. And he's always on. He's doing things with different content creators. He's also saying hello to David. Yep. And let's see. We got Tommy here. We have, we are going to have to get you back on here really soon. Thank you very much for coming. Still think the NFL can improve on the officials with modern technology. What's worse is when the commentators comment and say, what a bad call. That's true. David, were you listening or were you able to hear when they were commenting on some of the challenges and, that was a bad call. And they were repeating it. And I mean, at a certain point, yes, it's a bad call, but for now the announcers to, I don't know. I don't want the announcers to underplay it or not, call it out when they see it. What's your thoughts?
Well, what happens when the players say, yeah, that was a horrible call. The refs suck. They get fined, right? The NFL fines them. They're like, you can't do that. But all these guys that are working for the networks do not work for the NFL. And it's, we can all watch the game. We can all see plain as day when a bad call is a bad call. And honestly, the refs could throw a flag on just about every play in the NFL. Let's be honest here. There's always something going on they can throw a flag for. It's just, was it bad enough for them actually to throw a flag? And sometimes the timing of the flag is interesting too. And that's, we're not the umpires, the refs. We don't know what they're thinking. We're not sure what they're told they need to keep an eye on before the game. But at this point in time, honestly, these refs that are in the playoffs are the ones that did good during the regular season and not missing a lot of calls, not making bad calls. And it's the human factor, right? They're human. So, what's the NFL going to do? They're going to take that away and go artificial intelligence. Right?
Oh, boy.
Then it's like, you want to see flags flying? I don't know if there's ever been a 20 penalty game in the NFL, but it would happen with artificial intelligence.
Oh, wow. That's a good point. Okay, so, wow. I just, one thing is calls are going to happen and people are human, just like you said. And for the announcers to continue to go on and on, I mean, at a certain point, you almost think the announcers need to be fined, but not fined for censorship of speaking, but just being a nuisance, I guess. But I don't know, that's just a difference, I guess. So we also have a question right here from Bebop, and he says, did Juwan Jennings clear concussion protocol yet? And I believe he did. I believe we have Juwan back. I think we have Trent Williams back. I think we have Eric Armstead back. Jair Brown. He's supposed to be back. We're gonna be set. Really, really set. And then
there's talk about our special teamer Greg Odom being back too. I don't know. I haven't looked at the practice report to see if he's out there, but there's talk about that.
Burks is supposed to be back. I know. I thought I seen him playing in the game 2 games ago. So, but
he did. He played in week 18.
We have GLC in the house, and I believe I have a good feeling about this one. Packers/Texans. That could happen. It really, really could happen. But we'll have to wait and see. We also have another good friend in the chat, Hardy. One day we might be able to get Hardy on the channel, and you guys, man, pull up a seat and watch. When Hardy's on, Hardy will bring a smile. He'll bring smiles and laughs. Okay, so David, we got some games on today, and the first one, and I think since we got so many Packer fans in it, we should probably talk a little bit about it. We have the Green Bay Packers going to Dallas to play the going to Dallas to play those Cowboys. There's a lot of history there. There's been some playoff that's happened, playoff games that's happened in the past. There's been coaches that's went from one team to the next team, and as much as Dallas wants to say they're America's team, Green Bay can really kind of say that as well. They have fans that travel, and they have a really young and up and coming squad right now. They're playing with, a lot of people said it, house money. How do you feel about this game? Can the Packers go in? They are the underdog. Can they go in and take away Dallas's title?
The Packers are kind of dangerous because what do they got to lose? They're young. They're a young team. Their quarterback, doesn't have a lot of experience in the NFL. He's been in the league a few years, but he sat there behind Karen Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
So I honestly said before the season that he's going to be better than people think. I'm sure you remember me saying that. I had them making the playoffs. I believe Detroit winning that division too. That all happened, but at this point, what have they got to lose? They just got to play football, see if they can win. The Cowboys, they're iffy against teams that are 500 or better. That they've barely won a couple games against some good football teams. And at this point, they do play good at home, but at least neither team has to play in minus 24 or whatever it is at Lambeau Field right now.
Oh, yeah. See, that's what's one thing is when you get into the dome, it neutralizes the weather elements. So teams have to really just play off of their talent, right? You don't have any extra help from Mother Nature or even sometimes the fans, because when the weather comes, the weather can neutralize fans as well. But when you have a dome, it's kind of, it's, I don't know. Can you say it's even? I don't know. I kind of feel it is. So we have Felix here, and he says, think Jerry Jones gives Mike McCarthy the boot if they lose to the Packers. I truly believe if they lose to the Packers, McCarthy's out. I think he's out, and I think Dan Quinn's going to Seattle. I think either way, if the Packers win or lose, the Cowboys win or lose, the Cowboys coaching staff will be different next year. I do think Dan Quinn's going to the Seahawks. I think Mike McCarthy, if they lose, he's out. I think Jim Harbaugh goes to the Cowboys. What do you think, David?
That's kind of scary.
It's really scary. If anybody could turn around Dallas, it would be Harbaugh.
You're not lying. It really would be. And Dallas kind of has that. I mean, they have a pretty decent defense. When it comes to size, they're not the biggest. They're fast. So if you have a team that has size and you're going up against them, you can push them around and wear them down. At this point, I think Green Bay has a pretty sizely offensive line. So that they should have an advantage. They do have Aaron Jones. He's a good running back. They're wide receivers. They're young, but they have a couple second-year guys. I don't know is Christian Watson playing in this game? Maybe one of the Packers fans in the comments can say, because I have not looked at the injury report.
I don't know if he's playing. I know Christian Watson. I was really excited about him. He was Trey Lance's wide receiver in college. So he's really fast, and he's got good hands.
And big. He's like 6'4". Might not weigh. I don't think he weighs 220 plus. I think he's like 210, something like that. Yeah. But he's one of those tall receivers that has a big catch radius. Excellent target for red zone completions, right?
So we got Hardy sitting back, good vibes, one love for the shout out. Now we're gonna get you on the show sometime. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We have Steve. We have Big City Man coming in with the facts. He says, good news for the Packers. Packers are 9-1 the last 10 times they have met. Wow. Steve-O backing that up with 1-9 Cowboys last 10 meetings versus Green Bay. Wow. All right.
That's stats and facts, buddy. Stats and facts.
We got Throwback coming in. Guys, please check out 49ers Throwback. He's got a YouTube channel as well. Just like that, you type it in, and he puts out shorts, and he puts out, not necessarily shorts, but he puts out, you gotta go check out his channel. It's a really cool channel, and he's everywhere. We really appreciate him. All right. Tommy says this. We don't want Bill Belichick in Dallas. I don't want him really anywhere. I think it'd be time for him to retire. It'd be nice for him to retire. But if his heart's set on still coaching, they've talked about possibly San Diego with him or Jim Harbaugh. They've also talked about recently Atlanta coming in to play for Bill Belichick. I think if Bill Belichick said, David, I want to come coach for your team, you almost have to say yeah. You almost have to say yeah, right?
Personnel wise, the LA Chargers, which we keep calling them San Diego, everybody does. They're better set up for a coach like him because they have stars in key positions. They have a good core. It's just they couldn't put it together, win games. Bill Belichick, if you give him the right team, he knows how to win a game. You give him a quarterback like Herbert, he's more than likely going to go pretty far with that. Harbaugh, it's kind of an interesting situation because I've heard that he's facing some sort of suspension if he stays with the NCAA. So he might just, make the jump to the NFL.
All right, so we got Jason up here, and he's a little iffy on the Packers. And everybody, it's a morning show, but we all like laughs and fun stuff too sometimes. So we don't get too, but we'll throw out something sometimes that might get an eyebrow raised as far as a joke. So I'm iffy on the Packs winning means we played the Pack on my B day, and with the wife being a cheesehead, well, you guys already know what that means. So. Happy birthday to Jason, and hopefully we do. Hopefully you get a good birthday out of it. Anyways, we also have another comment. Packers have never lost at AT&T Stadium and won a Super Bowl there. Go Packers! All right. Yeah, we will see. And Tommy's taking the Cowboys. Throwback's taking Packers. And we'll just see. We'll just have to see what happens. I personally would love to see the Packers win. I like the Niners Packer rivalry. I have a lot of family members that are Packer fans, so it's fun to have a little banter there, have a little bit of fun. Got actually a lot of friends that are Packer fans as well. So, when I'm watching a game, if the Packers are on, I like to tune into the Packers because I'm not so upset with their team as much as there's other teams. I don't like watching the Seahawks. I don't like watching the Rams. I don't like watching the Cowboys. So when you start crossing out options, there's only so many left, right? So I do. I like to pay attention to the Packers. But David, what's our next game? It's Detroit? The Rams versus Detroit, right?
Yes, the Rams at Detroit. Matthew Stafford versus Jared Goff. The Detroit Lions. Big announcement, banned Detroit Lion Matthew Stafford jerseys.
Oh, boy. All right. And this is my joke. And if anybody can do it, so this is a challenge. I don't have a reward. I'm sure I could figure something out. But if anyone who's going to the stadium or can get pictures of somebody at the stadium in a Jared Goff Rams jersey, please let me know if they let him in, because they didn't say anything about Jared Goff. Okay, so that's the question right there. I know the number 16 Ram jersey is out there. You guys watch Tom Grossi, the Grossi posse pack cast. He's always putting different jerseys on and doing like fan reactions. He's wearing the Jared Goff number 16 jersey, so I know they're out there. So, folks, if anybody can get a picture, let's definitely put that on social media and let's make that go viral, right? But David, how do you really feel about that? Like, if you were Stafford and you were going back to the city that you played several years in for, you broke your back for this team, literally broke your back. You own the passing records. You are like the number one quarterback there in franchise history. You almost have all the records. But you didn't get a playoff game at home. This is the first playoff game in 30 years. But you go somewhere else and you win the Super Bowl. Now you get to go back to that place and they won't let your jersey be worn. Like a lot of people that just because you're not there anymore, they still love you all that time. It's like, you might have an ex or something like that, but you still have feelings, right? Like there was good times, there was, there might have been bad times, but you still, there was times where you laughed and nobody can take that from you, right? So you're telling me that people in Detroit hate Stafford? If anybody in the comments that is a Packer fan, do you truly hate Aaron Rodgers? Do you truly hate Brett Favre? I mean, the guy got you guys Super Bowl rings, right? So but their time is now, and it left. And they left, but you can't tell me you walk up to Mr. Aaron Rodgers right now, or walk up to Mr. Brett Favre and start talking to him about the Packers. You're gonna have a bad conversation, or they're gonna treat you like they're not a Packer. They will forever be a Packer. Joe Montana left and went to the Chiefs, but he will forever be a 49er. He might be a little bit upset with the 49ers, but he's still a 49er. David, what do you think?
Oh, boy. Who's still a 49er?
Well, Joe Montana, right? Even though he left, right? And, he's scorned a little bit, but he still loves the team, right? So, again, like, you have players like Stafford who left, but there's fans that still like Stafford. So for the team to look at fans and say, if you show up in a Matthew Stafford Lions jersey, we're not letting you in. That's kind of funny, right? Isn't green?
I think it's messed up. It's like, well, that's the only jersey the person owns,
right?
And now they now they can't wear their jersey to the game. It's like, hello, and are they expecting everyone to show up in Matthew Stafford jerseys and root for the Rams? The Rams don't even get the majority at their home stadium. I highly doubt they're going to get the majority in Detroit.
I love it. Look what Big City says. He throws this out in the chat. He says the Lions should have played mind games with Stafford, right? Gave him a standing O, retired his number, all that on game day, make it impossible for him to focus. Oh my gosh, that would have been so funny.
I believe he's their franchise all-time leader in several categories. So they could totally do that.
That would be so funny. That would be funny. I mean, like, hey, welcome back to the stadium, and then just go ahead and just like totally just take the game from him. He'd be so like, I mean, where are we, right? Right? Thank you, Brandon, for showing up. Guys, check out Brandon. He's got a great channel. Does a lot of things with a bunch of guys, and he works with Beto, Niner Sickness, and Dion, Niner Gang podcast, and I believe theirs is 49er Faithful. Let's see, David, what's Brandon's channel? I'm blanking on his channel. It's Forever Faithful, right?
Yep,
Forever Faithful
podcast.
You guys definitely check out his channel.
He does a lot of stuff with Beto, Dion, Lefty, Christian. What Christian doesn't have his own channel. He's just an interesting guy to get on. We got to get him on one of these days. And that they all go live on all their channels at once, folks. So what I do is I have several devices, so I'll hop on all of them, leave one turned up, and hit the like button. I'm just I support.
Yep. It's not hard to support. Sometimes you can't always catch all the shows, but by just giving them a little subscribe. And when you do see somebody go live, popping in sometimes and just saying something hi, because friendship, it helps everybody. And I think this is really what the world it thrives on. When you're friendly to somebody and you just come in and you say hello, then, you show somebody else that you care. And then that helps other people show that people care about them and helps other people care about others. It's really a beautiful thing. Thank you very much. And yes, Big City, that was freaking legendary. It was one of the best comments probably all day, maybe all week. Brandon's channel is Forever Faithful Podcast. Believe it. And there are a lot of Forevers and full podcasts that are surrounded by the Niners because we are the faithful. So definitely when you type that in, you're
speaking of Did you hear the news though?
The
One of
news
the Detroit Lions' best offensive weapons, Sam Laporta, is going to be playing. A lot of us were thinking he's not going to make the game.
Wow. I know Laporta was a tight end that a lot of people were excited about. We went with Latu, but Porta, if
Didn't
he's
he
playing,
play the same college as Kittle?
I think he did. I think he had a black and yellow uniform for college. I want to say it was either Iowa or he would one of those. Okay, so let's see what we're at. Okay, we have Lawrence popping in. We have Terradome popping in. Thank you guys, everybody popping in. We got a lot of guys here today. A lot of good people. Appreciate you all. Okay, so Detroit. Let's get into the game. Does Detroit wave? Do they have what it takes to get the W here today, David? I know they were kind of like a blue collar team. That's kind of why I felt like wearing the jacket this day. They are like a gritty team. They're gonna play physical football with you the entire time. Now, if they can get a lead on you, it's one of those things you can. And I've seen other teams be able to come back and seem to catch them. I don't know if it's because the Lions take their foot off the brake or put it on the brake, take it off the gas, or what their deal is. But it does seem like the Lions do have the ability to blow out a team. It depends on if the other team's gritty and they can come back. But if not, the Lions can play football all the way 60 minutes all the way through the game and keep it really close. They have the ability to play both ways. So the Lions playing the Rams, and the Rams being somewhat of an explosive team, but really it dictates what team they're playing. It seems like if the Rams are playing a gritty team, they're more of a finesse team, if it makes sense to you. I see the Rams being able to put up points against other teams that and have shootouts. But if it's a team that it's a physical team, the Rams aren't putting up a bunch of points. It's just not happening. They might get a bunch of passes caught, they might get a bunch of first downs, but when it comes down to scoring, it's just not going to happen. The Rams have had to rely on some field goals to win some of their games this year because they've come down to the wire as well. I wouldn't be surprised to see this game come down to a field goal. David, how do you feel with the Rams situation and the Lions? Who do you want to win and who do you think will win?
Well, honestly, the Rams probably shouldn't even be here because Seattle missed that field goal at LA to win that game. The Giants, week 17, missed that field goal at the end of the game. They literally have 2 victories from the opposing team missing field goals. That's one of those better to be lucky than good moments, but those don't come a lot. But it's come a couple times for them this season. They were able to hang with the Ravens because they had a good game plan. They ran right at Clowney and Van Noy. They're good pass rushers, not good against the run. Sean McVay is a good head coach. He is. But Detroit, they have built their team starting in the trenches. They have one of the best offensive lines in the league. They have some good pass rushers, and those pass rushers can play the run on that defensive line. Aiden Hutchinson is a beast. I expect Detroit to win the battle in the trenches, and that's what's going to cost the Rams this game. Straight up. The Rams are going to be pushed around. They're going to probably try to move Aaron Donald all over that defensive line to try to find his place. But that offensive line for Detroit is just too good.
I think you're right. I think this is the moment where the Rams are going to be outmatched, out physically matched. I don't think I think they can potentially, get out to a lead. And, if that happens, then the Lions are going to have to play from behind, obviously. And, they may or may not be able to do that. But I don't think that the Rams defense is good enough to hold the Lions back. But I don't think the Lions offense is incredibly dominant either. So I think it's going to really come down to that, like you said, the O-line. And if the O-line of the Lions holds up, they're going to give Stafford time their running back, will be able to run a little bit and hopefully get some ground game and go from there. But if not, and if they don't put pressure on Stafford knows that stadium. You can almost say he built that stadium, right? He built that house.
Mm.
So
yes,
we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I guess in a sense, advantage goes to the Rams because they've been in the playoffs more often and they have a veteran quarterback. But I think the Lions have that heart, and I think that's what's going to come out in the end. This game is going to come out with the Lions. And then who do we have tonight playing? We have Detroit. We talked about the Cowboys and the Packers. We talked about the Lions and Detroit. We have one more game coming on tonight, and it is trying to think.
I believe it's only 2 games today, and isn't it 2 games tomorrow?
I know for sure tomorrow Tampa Bay and the Eagles are playing. So what is the other
Bills?
Game? The Bills.
Bills Mafia and the Steelers. They didn't play because of the blizzard that was happening at Buffalo.
Okay, so we are getting some stuff in the chat saying only 2 games. So Bills and Steelers tomorrow. Okay, let's talk about the Bills and Steelers, and then we'll finish up with Eagles and Buccaneers, and we'll get out of here. Thank you, everybody, for coming. We appreciate you all. Okay, running through it real quick. Once Golf gets rattled, it's over. I agree. Or Stafford. Stafford, if he gets hit too many times, he takes himself out of the game. You got Ted coming in.
Stafford, once you rattle Stafford, he starts trying to force things, and that's when he throws interceptions. And I honestly think that Detroit has a couple good defensive linemen that will get in there and rattle his cage.
So Ted's coming in saying, look, Porta's injury made me lean the Rams. May have to change my prediction. Never too late to change that prediction. We got people saying, hey to Ted. Ted saying Bills and Steelers tomorrow. Yep. Fernando. Bills on Monday at 1:30. Thank you, Steven. Thank you very much. While I'm working. Oh, that sucks. I get tomorrow off, so I'm pretty excited about that. And they might have a game on Tuesday. What? Oh, man, I hope not. Don't like those Tuesday games. Okay. So we're going to talk about the Bills and the Steelers. The number 2 Bills are hosting the Steelers. Anything can happen. The advantage is kind of to the Bills for home field advantage, right? You got the Mafia, you got the weather. Steelers play in cold weather as well, but the Steelers will be playing without TJ Watt. And I don't know if somebody turned the lights off, but I know that guy says he has a knee injury, and it sounds like it's season ending. David, I think you're taking the Bills, but can you tell me why you think the Bills are going to win?
They're playing at home. They're actually pretty hot hitting the playoffs, although they did barely win against the Dolphins, in week 18 to take their division. But the Steelers, without TJ Watt, he is a humongous part of their defense. I don't think they're going to be able to get to Josh Allen and rattle his cage and make him, make those bad decisions that he seems to be known for this year. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I like the Bills to win this game because they're at home. I do think Josh Allen is a good quarterback. His team believes in him, but he's got to believe in himself. And I think he does believe in himself. But there's been moments this season that they've had some kind of issue. Either it's a locker room issue, a play coaching decision. There's been issues. And sometimes that does get emotional and people start taking out their feelings in the locker room. And then people start, hey, are you really on my side? Are you mad at me? This and that. And I think they've had a lot of that's went through this locker room this year. But they've started to click and they've started to catch on fire. And, when there's fire, there's heat, and there's heat, it melts ice. And, maybe the Bills got their footing, their traction. It could very well be a Bills Super Bowl. But again, the Bills have to get it done. And we'll see tonight. We'll see this Monday when they play. If the Steelers can come in and win with how many quarterbacks they've had this season and win without a defense or a defense that seems to come to play, but their leader on that defense is gone, then the Bills they'll be left looking out again and wondering why they didn't finish and win. They're a good team, but sooner or later you got to get over the hump, right? And either Bills are going to get it done with Allen, or he might be looking for a different team in a couple of seasons, and I don't think that's where they're at right now. Steelers, what happens with the Steelers in this game, I think is going to depend. Was going to have a dramatic effect on their franchise. This could be Tomlin's last game, and if that's what happens, if Tomlin changes, it wouldn't be a bad idea to switch quarterbacks at this time. Everything just would fall into place as far as almost a rebuild for the Steelers. And they don't have to do a complete rebuild because they have players. They have a lot of pieces in place, but they don't have a quarterback right now. And they don't have a problem getting wide receivers. They seem to have always find wide receivers in the draft. But if you change coaching staff, how many coaches are leaving? How many coordinators are leaving? And you have all these questions. So then maybe the way they draft changes. Maybe the way they look at players change. I would like to see the Steelers win. I'd like to see it, but I wouldn't be upset to see the Bills win either. Either way, I think this is a low scoring game, and I could see it coming down to a field goal as well. David, what do you think? Field goal wins the game, or is the Bills winning by a dominant score?
Mike Tomlin is, he's been there forever. He's actually doing something he's never done before, and next year he'll be entering the last year of his contract. So it will be interesting to see what happens with him moving forward. The Steelers, I think since a certain date, they've had like 3 head coaches, and we're talking decades back, folks, decades. It was what, Bill Cowher, then Mike Tomlin, then I don't remember the guy's name before him, but those 3 were.
I'm trying to think of his name, but he was Bill, not Bill. He was our favorite host, Bradshaw's coach, Chuck Noll.
Yep. And, he was a suit and tie type of guy too, right?
That's right.
And it's just like, what are they going to do? The Steelers are a good franchise, good ownership, good front office, good management. They have to have a plan moving forward. And I think that their plan is probably to re-up Tomlin, but their one big hole is quarterback. They have to find a quarterback, and drafting a quarterback is severe hit and miss. Some drafts will produce 2, maybe 3 good quarterbacks. Some drafts produce 1, maybe 2. And it's like I said, the 2021 draft, out of the 4 quarterbacks taken in the top 10, 1 has panned out. That's 25%, right? The guys like Andrew Luck don't come along every day, and that's just how it is. But I 100% could see the Steelers giving him an extension this offseason. I don't think winning or losing right here will affect that, because they lost Big Ben.
Yeah.
So, and they've never gone through a full rebuild. They just kind of reload and keep going.
Yeah. This is going to be a decision that comes down to Tomlin. If Tomlin, it feels like his time is over, but if Tomlin feels like he still has time to go and he still can put, he can cook, then he'll still be over there. He'll still be the guy. I just see with all the turnovers that's happening right now, this would probably be a good opportunity for him to gracefully bow out. We have Belichick, we have Pete Carroll. I mean, I want to say there was 10 coaches that got fired. I might be wrong on that, but it seems like there's a lot of vacancies right now. David, the last game of our bracket, our playoff week, comes down to the Eagles in Tampa Bay. And it looks like the Eagles have a lot of injuries going into this game. They've lost 5 out of the last 6 games. Their quarterback has a dislocated finger, knuckle in his throwing hand. It's been pushed back together. He more likely will be playing. The guy's last name's Hurts for a reason. So, you can take the pain, right? And we have Baker Mayfield. He's banged up a little bit too, but they got the home crowd. They got a veteran defense. I'd like to see Baker come away with the win. Maybe you could call me salty. I don't want to see the Eagles. I don't think the Eagles. I don't think the Eagles are going to do it. I think something's happened in that locker room. People are saying that the team is trying to get their coach fired at this point. They don't believe in their coach. So if all that's happened, then the Eagles really imploded after we played them. And it really looks like we give the blueprint to the rest of the league on how to beat them. And they also are dealing with, I think, an injury at wide receiver. A.J. Brown, I believe, is also hurt. So
is it a injury or is it what is that called? Conduct detrimental to the team.
Yeah.
He did scrub the Eagles from all his social media. I mean, we're not part of the Eagles franchise, so we don't know why. We don't know what happened.
Right.
At this point, Hurts and that finger, and I did see a picture of it right after it happened. Oh, that looked painful.
Yeah.
The Eagles haven't been the same since we played them. We broke them.
We broke them.
We did. We broke them. And I see the Buccaneers taking this game.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield, Buccaneers do have a lot of veterans on their team. And, they've been in the playoffs a few years in a row, won a Super Bowl lately. The Eagles played in the Super Bowl last year and lost. But they're not the same team. It almost seems like the coach has lost his grip. And it might be time to move on from him. But, this is all an Eagles problem,
I can tell you one thing, David. In life, you don't necessarily know how you're going to respond or react to every situation. You might be able to sit here and tell me, this is what I think I would do, or this is what I should do. But in the heat of the moment, you don't know. And no one really truly knows, right? I think even Buddha, even, the Dalai Lama, I think at the wrong time of the day, if somebody was to do something, you might get a reaction out of the person the wrong way, right? I mean, hopefully that person has control of their emotions and everything, right? To 100%, right? But for the most part, if somebody was to walk up and flip you off or punch you in the face, right, you're going to respond. And you probably aren't going to respond the way you would if you was to look back at the situation and say, wow, what should I do here? The coach is getting flipped off by people in the stands, seats away from him. They literally have to jump down on the field. There are people around that could stop potentially a fight or physical confrontation. Why do you have to flip them back off? What are you gaining? If I flipped you off right now, would that take away your man card? Absolutely not, right?
No.
If somebody in the stands is flipping you off, what does that make that person in the fans look like? Immature. Emotional. Okay. But I mean, at the end of the day, we are not cavemen. We are not like that. You could be mad at me. You could be all, and words do hurt and words are heard. But I mean, seriously, that is not a good look. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but the Kansas City Chief game and the Philadelphia Eagle game, I believe the one that happened this season, the Eagles won that game. He was walking off the field. He the coach flipped off a fan. Jalen Hurt looks over at his coach and is like, knock it off. Nah, that guy right there is way more mature than his head coach. And his head coach is supposed to be the leader of that franchise, the leader of those men, right? When you got a little kid leading you, and people see it, people find out. And if that's the way he wants to continue to operate and run his business, I don't know how much longer the Eagles are going to be able to keep up. They have that guy that they had hired for 25 years, Big Don, right? He's supposed to be head of security. He's supposed to be a psychologist. He's supposed to be able to talk to the players and, help them with their feelings and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, David.
Could that be what happened to him? They don't have their version of Dr. Phil on the sideline, and they got no one to talk to anymore.
I don't know. I know, like when your leadership in your locker room changes or gets affected. When Steve Mariucci was called out by T.O. and Jeff Garcia and T.O. were having their feud and stuff like that, it was time for Mariucci to leave. He lost the locker room, right? We could say we like Mariucci. We could say he had a good team. We wanted to see him stick together longer. But when men cannot control other men or get them to work with each other, at a certain point, you can't keep on trying to put them together. It's not going to work, right? It's time to part ways. So with that, T.O. went to a different team, and he had the same issues that he had with our team because there was issues within him. But the Niners, they lost their locker room. They had to rebuild. There was a whole lot of things that had to go because of one person's emotions. It influenced the rest of the team, right? So hopefully that's not what's going to happen to the Eagles. But regardless, I just am more confident in the Buccaneers. If anyone is betting on the game, going to see the game, I don't recommend you putting any money on the Eagles this game. That locker room's hurt mentally and physically. David, what you got going on the rest of the day?
Well, before we go much further, don't forget that we're dual streaming, folks. So hop over to my channel, hit that thumbs up for me. I'd appreciate it. But today I have to see if my jumper cables reach my Jeep because there's some parasitic draw in the stereo. I've actually tested and found it. And at this point, I'm thinking I just need to get a new head unit so it stops doing that. But I have to see if they'll reach from the trunk of the Camaro to the Jeep. If it doesn't reach, I gotta go to my buddy's house 2 houses up and grab his jump box. And
yeah.
Either way, I just got to get the Jeep started because it didn't give it 12 inches like the weatherman said. It did give it 7 though, so there's a lot of snow on the ground. The Camaro will not be moving until the salt has washed off the road sometime in March. That's pretty much what I got going on. A little grocery shopping, do some laundry, try to get back before the game starts. I think I got plenty of time to do that.
Yeah. Yep, same thing here. No snow in California for me, but we've had rain, and we've had rain for the last couple of days, so that's not fun. We'll probably go grocery shopping here before the game starts, so we can have us like nice little something for the game to eat on, and we'll go from there. Folks, thank you so much for coming. Tomorrow we will be on the Coast to Coast. I believe it's on my channel tomorrow. We'll be putting out a thumbnail. So you can come back, check us out with David, me, and Aaron, and Ty, and the 4 of us get together and we rotate every week onto each other's channels. So definitely check us out. And we should know sometime tomorrow who will be playing for our game coming up, the 49ers this week. Hopefully we get the team that you want. Hopefully we get the team that the Niners want, the team that the Niners can handle. With that, folks, thank you very much for coming. Please like and subscribe to both channels. We are double streaming on Sundays. We're going to be doing that. Right now, we are in our suits and ties because we're still breaking down the weeks and the pick'ems. We're doing our best Mel Kiper impersonations. Here soon, we'll start having our guests come back. So look forward to having guest appearances on the Culp and Mcniner show on Sundays, and we will be going from there. So thank you guys all.
Yeah, don't forget Niners Coast to Coast. It should be on this guy's channel tomorrow at 5:15 Pacific Standard Time.
And with that, folks, we appreciate you. Go Niners. And we'll see you next time. Stay safe.
Go Niners, and as Corey Davis say, F all 31 other teams.